Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 101 of Talking Asperger's with Andrew. My name's Andrew Marsh, and I am autistic. My representation of autism is Asperger's syndrome, and I discovered that nearly 9 years ago when I was 51. And I now work with employers to help them better understand and manage people like me, autistic people, people with Asperger's syndrome, in their business. Because whilst we have some challenges, and don't we all? I mean, none of us are perfect. We have some great skills that can be fabulous assets to employers if only they understood the asset and the person behind the label, and we might get to that later, um, and find out what they can do and how they can do it and how you can support them in doing that. Because ultimately, that's an employer's job, is to find out how best to support all of their employees so that they can be at their productive best. Got to be the aim of the business, because that way they're at their productive best, they're producing good work, the business makes money, serves its customers and its clients well, makes a profit, and returns some of that profit back to the employees with bonuses and salary rises and holiday and the like. So that's who I am. That's what I do. And today we're going to do something slightly different. We're going to do a topic that I haven't covered before, and I'm going to tell you why. Um, if you're watching this on replay and you're thinking he looks a bit disheveled, a bit unshaven, and my hair's a bit of a mess. Well, I had a fall on Sunday, and I fell heavily on my arms and my rib and my knee, and I spent a few hours in hospital checking it out with A&E. Nothing broken. I'm fine. But I'm struggling at the moment with doing things because I can't grip things very well and I can't move my arms very well, and breathing, sneezing and coughing and things like that is difficult because of my rib. So I wanted to cover this topic about accidents and clumsiness and ask the question. And I don't know if I know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question. Are autistic people and people with Asperger's, are we more prone to being involved in accidents? Are we more accident prone? Because if I go back through my life, and I'm just going to take the last 14 years with my second wife, Leslie, we've been in A&E a few times with clumsy old Andrew falling over this and falling down that and tripping and doing this and what have you. And other people who are 59 years old may or may not have ever been to hospital for anything, but I've been quite a few times. So am I accident prone? Am I careless in how I go about doing what I'm doing? Or am I just clumsy? Do we have bad hand, eye, foot coordination? All of these questions I'm not sure I always know the answer to. But I'll tell you what happened Sunday. Um, I was in the Barrows and we were using a tarpaulin to cover a stall, and I went round the side to check something out, and I tripped on the tarpaulin and went flying. Vroom, bam, splat. Down I went, broke my glasses, hurt my arms, my rib, my knee. Again, I'm fine. And over the last couple of days, I've been thinking, well, are you accident prone? And I suppose, yes, I am. Um, it's not from the perspective of have I thought about what it is I'm doing with sufficient thought to say I shouldn't be doing that in that way. I should be doing in a different way so that I don't hurt, fall, trip, bang into things. Because one of the things my Asperger's has given me is the ability to scan a situation and see what's going on very quickly. So I can identify hazards. I used to work as a geologist in the construction industry, and one of the things that I used to do when doing designs and projects was to do risk assessments as part of our job, health and safety risk assessments. So I would be aware of things that were going on in the work that we were going to be doing and whether they were hazardous and all things like that. So I have a background in that, but I find myself tripping over things. Um, some of it might be due to I have a balance problem, which I've had for a considerable period of time. And the doctors have been interestingly in what they've said. Started off with dizziness. Then they said it was labyrinthitis. Then they said it was benign positional vertigo. That's a good one. And various other things, but they've kind of just settled on dizziness, and potentially having little crystals in the ear canal, which cause the fluids not to work properly, and which can cause me dizziness. And I do stumble. I do stumble, usually to the left. So if I'm going through a door and I stumble, I will bang my left shoulder and my left knee and hip on the door frame because I'll go splat into the door frame. Sometimes I stumble when I'm outside, and it's as though my foot or my shoe is catching on the ground, and I'll stumble. Have fallen over from time to time, have landed up sprawled across someone's hedge when I'm walking down the street, or bumping into their gate or their fence or their garden wall. These things have happened to me. They happen to me from time to time. And one of the things I haven't done is made a note of all these things as to when and where and what happened. Because I would probably look back on this over the course of a few months and go, oh my God, you're a klutz. You're an absolute klutz. You're a clumsy so-and-so. So I haven't been keeping records of things like that. I just know that I stumble and I trip and I can fall. And, Sunday I took a belter of a tumble. And my arms are getting better. I could not have raised my arms to this position on Monday morning. So I'm getting better, but there are things that are difficult for me to do in my current state. But are people with autistic people, are we more clumsy? I don't know. And I'm not sure how I'd find out, because it's not the sort of thing that you say to people. Oh, hi, how you doing? Yeah, are you clumsy? Do you fall over? Do you stumble? Do you bang into things? It's not the general sort of topic of conversation. People usually ask, how are you? What do you do? To your wife or spouse, or what's your partner doing? What's your job? What sort of car you got? Yeah, all those sorts of things. But we never say, are you clumsy? We might say someone is clumsy if we've noticed them trip or stumble or fall, but we won't otherwise bring it to someone's attention that we think they might be clumsy. Do we have hand-eye coordination issues? I don't know. Maybe I do, but I don't know. It's one of those difficult things to pin down. Is it me? Is it being autistic? Is it because I've got my balance issues? Is it something else? Is there a little neurological thing going on in my brain that doesn't quite join all the dots up so that the pathways are all clear and communicating with each other well? And maybe sometimes the communication to my left foot to lift slightly so that I can walk gets mangled somewhere and goes for a little walk down a different lane, and I have a stumble. So I don't really know. It would be interesting to know what you think. If you've got autistic people in your family, or you have autistic people at work, have you noticed, do they trip and fall more often? Or they said, yeah, I took a tumble at the weekend. I fell over and tripped down the stairs, or I fell in the kitchen, or I was in the garden and I tripped over. All those sorts of things. Oh, excuse me. My apologies. Haven't been sleeping too well. The rib is the killer. It's just very difficult to get comfortable when you've got a sore rib, but I'm not going to keep going on about it. But yeah, so are we more prone to being clumsy? I don't know. I don't know. Possibly. What can we do about it? Well, we all, when we notice things about ourselves, we try to self-correct. So one of the things that I do is I am aware of when I'm walking through a doorway. Obviously, there's only a certain gap and you want to fit through it. So I'm consciously aware of my surroundings and my bubble that I'm in. And the reason, there's other reasons for that is I have a bad back. I had an abseiling accident and a paragliding accident when I was a young man. I smashed my back, fractured some bones, and 30 years later, I now have arthritis in my back, and there are certain things that are painful for me to do. Um, Sitting down because I've damaged my coccyx is sore. Standing is painful because of other problems. So I have a natural protection of what I'm doing about my back because I don't want to twist my back or damage it or fall and hurt it. So I have a defense mechanism to protect my back. So I'm very much aware of the bubble that I'm in, and people with trolleys in supermarkets. I can tense up when someone's getting close, just back, do I have to, and I will quite often back off or move to the side or try and keep out the way so that I don't get hit with a trolley, which might make me fall down, make me hurt my back or whatever. Kids in supermarkets, parents, if there's one thing I could suggest of you as a heartfelt plea from anyone else who's in the supermarket, whether they're elderly or whether they're frail or whether they're just out doing their normal shopping, please keep your kids under control and don't let them run around, because they're going to knock someone over and it's going to hurt and it's going to be painful, and then you're going to shout at your kid, the kid's going to be mortified that something's happened, and I'm going to be the poor so-and-so on the ground who's possibly banged their head off a shelf and has hurt their back. It's avoidable if you keep your kids under control. Anyway, so these little things add to the things I have to do and the things I do automatically about being out and about and around the house. I'm aware that I have a bad back. I'm aware that I've got dodgy knees. And things like that. So I have to negotiate the world, being very careful that I don't bang this, knock that, hurt that. And maybe it's counterintuitive. And by doing all of that, I'm actually making myself more prone to potentially harming myself by falling over or tensing up when I don't need to. But it would be interesting if there are other autistic people watching this, or you have colleagues at work who are autistic or family, whether they have clumsy incidents or falls or things of that nature. Maybe they drop things a lot. I tend to drop things in the kitchen. Don't know why. I tend not to drop things elsewhere, but in the kitchen, yeah, I drop things in the kitchen, and it's annoying because bending down to pick things up is very painful because of my back problem. So all of these things add up to a protective bubble that I've put myself in, so that outside influences just stay away, so that I don't get hit or bumped or fall over. So clumsiness, is it a trait of Asperger syndrome? I don't know. Is it a trait of autism? I don't know. But whether it is or it isn't, I bump myself from time to time. I wouldn't care to add up all of the times I have broken arms as a child or an adult, or broken ankles. It's always my right ankle. It's always my right ankle. Don't know. Maybe I'm just one of those people that has slight disorientation or lack of hand-eye coordination in a way that isn't so blatantly obvious that other people always comment on it. But maybe it's me. Yeah, I remember breaking my ankle. I was out for a walk with some friends in Glencoe, and we were walking down the footpath back to the King's house, down the footpath from the Buccleuch Moor, if you know it. Just a normal, everyday footpath out in the Highlands of Scotland. And I went over on a piece of gravel. Click. Broke my ankle. This was on Saturday. We were at an event, so it wasn't the done thing. And I certainly didn't want to create a fuss. So I didn't say much, but people knew I'd hurt myself because I was limping and hobbling and all sorts. So we didn't do anything about it until I got home Sunday night. Eventually took my boot off and my foot just ballooned like a melon. And my new wife, I had been married 3-4 weeks. One look at my foot and went, oh my God. So off we went to the hospital. Yeah, I'd broken my ankle. And what I didn't know at the time was I had shaved a piece of bone off somewhere in my foot. I wasn't told this by the doctors at the hospital. I had shaved a piece of bone off my foot somewhere, and it was floating, if that's the right word, in my foot. There was never any question of, right, we need to go in and take this bit of bone out. There was never any, I wasn't even told about it. So that was 1990. I now have problems with my foot because that piece of bone has now fixed itself to somewhere else in my foot, where it shouldn't be. So it's glued itself on and grown onto another part, another bone, another part of my foot. And that is sore. In the cold and the damp and the wet, that is sore. A few years ago, had another x-ray and, oh yeah, this piece of bone is reattached there. I said, what piece of bone? I said, didn't you break your ankle? Yeah. Oh, this piece of bone came off and it's reattached somewhere else. Yeah, good. Can't do anything about it. So I have problems with my foot from time to time because it's sore in cold and damp weather. But part of life. I'm 59. There's bound to be bits of me that don't work as well as they did when I was 21. That's part of life. I'm still mobile and can do things. So, you just deal with it. But that was an example of, I just turned my ankle on a tiny piece of gravel. Boom, over I went. Knew I'd done it. I knew I'd done something bad to my ankle. 1990. Yeah. Of course, Monday morning, I now have a foot and in plaster up to just below my knee. And I'm hobbling into work on crutches in my new job because I'd moved jobs, got married. I got married, moved jobs. So I've been there a month. And I hobble into work on crutches, and everyone goes, "What happened?" Yeah, well, I told them. So it was a course of great merriment around the office. But yeah, so that's just one of those things. Yeah, clumsy. Maybe I am. Maybe I am just one of those people who are a bit more clumsy than us. Ooh, excuse me. Excuse me. And it makes life interesting. You get to know the A&E department of your local hospital quite well. It's there Sunday night. Fantastic. They were great. They were fantastic. X-rays and what have you, and sent me away. But so that's really all I have for today. Is maybe not. Maybe autistic people with Asperger's syndrome are more accident prone. I don't know. It may just be me. I just could be one of those lucky ones who was hit with the clumsy stick when I was a kid, and that's my lot. I'm one of those people. But I've had broken fingers and broken arms and broken ankles and cracked ribs, and I won't go on about the things that the incidents that happened to me when I was in Brunei. That's a story for another day. But yeah, that was fun. So yeah, maybe I am quite clumsy. So just be aware of your colleagues and family members who might be, if they are autistic, might be a little bit clumsy. Just be aware and try and help them. If there's things that look like they're going to be in the way that they're going to trip over, make them aware of it. Just in a gentle way without making a big issue of it. Just say, yeah, hey, be careful of that dog's toy or the cat or that little wet patch in the kitchen floor, they're just over there. Just make them aware so that they're less likely to fall prey to the hazard and hurt themselves. If you want to know more about managing autism and Asperger's syndrome in the workplace and what steps an employer can do to get the best from your autistic employees, feel free to get in touch. My name's Andrew Marsh. You've got my website over my shoulder there, aspergersmatters.com. I would welcome the opportunity to have a free 30-minute consultation with you to see how I can help you, how I can help your business with no obligation, and see if there's some things that I can do, because I've got 59 years lived experience of being autistic, even though I've only known since for the last 8.5. So I've adapted to things. I've found my own coping strategies and ways to handle and manage myself and deal with other people, which greatest challenge that I have is people. And I have a 7-step program that I have developed based on those experiences as to how you can better manage someone with Asperger's syndrome in your business. If you want to know more, please get in touch. You can email me at andrew@aspergersmatters.com, or if you go to the website, there's a contact form there. Please feel free to get in touch. Next month's talk will be posted on LinkedIn the week beforehand to tell you what the subject is. Not sure what that will be yet, so keep an eye on LinkedIn for the event notification. And if you've got a particular topic that you want me to cover, please feel free, drop me a line or use the contact form on the website. And if I and I'll see if I can help you. I can cater to that and see what we can do together. Because if there is someone in your business who is struggling and you're having disciplinary matters with them, because that's usually how these things manifest themselves. You've got someone who's butting heads with management, or rather, management are butting heads with them because of things that they're doing that aren't perceived to be the norm and the right. And so there's a conflict there, and it's usually the manager saying that it's the employee that's wrong. You're not doing this, you're doing that wrong. You're all of those things, when actually it's the system. You haven't found the right way to communicate your instructions clearly and have the communication channels open to them. That's the challenge. How to manage your autistic employees to get the best from them. I can help you with that. So take care, look after yourselves, have a fantastic festive season in whatever way that you celebrate it. We'll be doing ours on Yule, and hopefully I'll be well enough that we maybe even be able to get out and go out and have a little celebration at Yule. And we'll look forward to seeing you in the new year, which would be the first Wednesday of the new year, which I think is the 3rd or the 4th of January. Until then, take care, look after yourselves, and be aware that in this cold weather, you might have relatives or neighbors who might be elderly or frail relatives or neighbors who might be struggling. Just jump on the door. Say, can I help you? Can I go out and get you some shopping? Even if it's just simple things like milk, bread, tins of soup and butter. That might just help them, tide them through through this cold snap, and they might be able to help themselves a bit better. So be aware of what's going on around you in your community, and if you can help a neighbor or a relative, ask if you can help, because more often than not, that asking, say, can I help you with something? I'm just going to the shops, can I help? Makes a difference. And if we all do a little thing to help, then we're going to be better together. So that's all for me today. See you in the new year. Take care and bye-bye.